Why is having stuff not enough? Let's find out with the Tao Te Ching, chapter 9. Let's go. Filling it up all the way to the brim is not as good as halting in time. Pounding an edge to sharpness will not make it last. Keeping plenty of gold and jade in the palace makes no one able to defend it. Displaying riches and titles with pride brings about one's downfall. To retreat after work is well done, that is the heavenly way. Okay, Tao Te Ching chapter 9. Let's see what we have here. Filling it up all the way to the brim is not as good as halting in time. Okay. So Lao Tzu states here that you can gather things and more things and more things and pile up a big pile of whatever it is, precious goods, status, wealth, whatever. And he states that that is not as good as stopping at a certain point. Okay, that's a statement. That's a thesis. Okay, it's not as good. Pounding an edge to sharpness will not make it last. Okay, this is this is a metaphor, of course. Like if you like a smith, if you keep on hammering on the edge of a sword, even though you want to make it more sharp, over time you will destroy it. Okay, and so these two lines, pounding an edge to sharpness will not make it last, that's a explanation or a metaphor for why the first two lines, filling it up all the way to the brim, is not as good as halting in time. Why that is the case, okay? Because if you keep on pounding, if you keep on doing, if you keep on gathering, there comes this point where that destroys you, or where the work you do is destroyed by keeping on doing that. Okay, and that's a very interesting concept to think of. Okay, to think, okay, there is a point where you have to stop whatever you do. You cannot just keep going, because if you keep going, doing the same thing over and over, there will come a point when that is exhausted in a way, and everything will fall apart. And that's very true. For you could, in a clinical context, you could think of someone working too much. There is this point when the battery is run out of power. Okay, and then the people have a breakdown. Okay, and that's a very common thing in psychiatry these days, that people are totally overworked and fall apart. So, and that's this concept, right? They keep on doing the same thing, which is not wrong in the first place, but if you do only that, it goes wrong. And that makes sense, because we have the yin-yang cycle, right? So we have action, which is yang, and then we have relaxing, which is yin. And those two have to... there has to be a cyclic movement between those two, okay? It has to go round and round. You cannot go only in one direction. Then you will have a downfall, okay? That will go wrong. So filling it up all the way to the brim is not as good as a halting in time. Pounding an edge to sharpness will not make it last, okay? Keeping plenty of gold and jade in the palace makes no one able to defend it. Okay, this one is beautiful. Okay, imagine that. You have a palace full of gold and jade, which was in ancient China the most it was the symbol for wealth, okay, and richness, jade. And you have all of that. But the more you have, the more you attract thieves, the more you attract corruption inside your government, because everybody wants to have a piece of the cake. Okay, so yeah, it is very hard to defend such richness and such an amount of gold and jade, because it shines so bright, and over time everybody will know that you have that much. Okay, and so they will try to get a piece for themselves. So that's hard to defend. Okay, and this also adds up to the first two statements, right? Because you have so much, and at a certain point it gets heavy on your shoulders, because it's so hard to maintain, it's so hard to keep. Okay. And it goes on. Displaying riches and titles with pride brings about one's downfall. And that's what I just stated, right? So when you display all that you have, your status, your riches, and you go out prideful, okay? And this is also, in different religions, Christianity, for example, yeah, pride is the major sin, right? The sin of the paradise. Pride is what leads to Adam and Eve's downfall, because the snake tells Eve that she could be like God. So the snake, in a way, brings Eve to develop pride in herself, that she wants to be more than just a human. So pride is the cardinal sin. And then so when you display your riches and titles and status with pride, your downfall is about to happen. And that's very interesting, because there are many similarities between the Christian story, or the Judean story, and the Chinese story here. Okay, so when you start to displaying all that, your downfall is about to happen, because it's hard to keep once everyone knows, right? And then there comes the final conclusion of this chapter. To retreat after a work is well done, after work is accomplished, after work is successful. That's the heavenly way. Okay, and this is a very interesting similarity to Christianity once more, because after creating the world in the biblical story, God retreats for a day, right? That's the Sunday. That's the seventh day of the week. So after the work, and God is even saying, yeah, this is good. Okay, he always says, like every his creation, after every day, he's saying, well, that's good, that's good, that's good. So he is successfully creating the world, and then he retreats. Isn't that interesting? So to retreat after work is well done. That's the heavenly way, right? So you do something and you do it good, and then you retreat. You do something, you do it good, you retreat. This is also mentioned before in the second chapter. Or it's quite similar when Lao Tzu says that because the wise men do not hold on to things, there is nothing they can lose. Okay, that's the same idea. So you do something, but you don't link your happiness to it. You don't link your status to it. You don't link your heart to it. You do it, and then you retreat. You do it, and then you retreat. So, you can have some wealth, but not too much. Okay? Because there is this one point where you should be halting in time, right? Where you should stop and take a step back and just, wu wei. Just let the things develop themselves as they do. And by that, you keep the natural yin-yang circle moving in the right way. Okay. Yeah, so that is why having stuff is not enough. Okay. Yeah, that's it for chapter 9 of the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. I hope you liked it. If you want to see more of my videos, just click on anywhere here. I also have a playlist somewhere, so you can watch all my videos about the Tao Te Ching. Yeah, and I hope to see you here on this channel back again. Subscribe and like if you want. See you soon.